Welcome to our weekly Being Your Own CEO Success Circle, intended especially for solopreneurs. This morning, we're going to be looking at website speed. So we'll be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Lowell Ann, your host, and greetings panel members. What's new with you this fine day? I say fine day in quotes. It's very cold here in Victoria. uh, and I'm wondering how things are in your part of the world. This morning, we're going to try and keep our intros fairly brief so that we can get to our discussion as quickly as possible. So I'll get us started by saying that in my coaching and consulting work, I help solopreneurs who want more from their business. Together we overcome that feeling of overwhelm and procrastination while bringing that business mastery plan into joyful reality. So now let's have our panel members introduce themselves, and I'll just try and remember what order people came in. So David, how would you like to begin?
Actually, Vivek came in first, but I will take the reins. Um, I'm Dave Flannery. I'm with Affordable Websites for Small Business and United Country Sauk Valley Realty Team Flannery. And I have a weather report of it's roughly about 24 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the same temperature you have. And we've got an ice storm coming tonight.
Oh, goody.
After we get done here, I have to leave as soon as we get done broadcasting so I can get my traveling done so I can get back home before the ice starts.
No kidding. Wow. Well, that's so you've got a house to show this morning? No,
Yes,
it's not morning, is it? For you.
well, it's morning still for me, but we have a 1 o'clock appointment our time,
Mm.
and we have I have to stop at my financial people to process some more money and so forth and so on,
Right.
and a few other uh,
All the steps that
errands.
go along with a house sale, eh?
Yes.
Yeah, right on. Happy you're here.
Yeah. Also, I monitor the chat for you, and as of right now, we have no one in there.
Nobody's there yet. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Vivek.
Namaste. My name is Vivekanand. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time-tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology is my brand. Together, let us wake up our potential.
Right on. That's a little bit different from the past. I like that.
Yeah. I specifically brought in bring together wisdom and happiness.
Mhm.
That's my name, actually.
Vivekananda?
Yes.
Really? How cool is that? Oh, I love it. Well, welcome here, Vivek. Always
Thank
happy to have you here. And I think, Javita, you are next in.
Yes. Namaste, all of you. I'm Shubhangi from India. I'm a yoga teacher and also a Reiki master teacher, and I'm really happy to be here.
All right. All right. Happy to have you here. And yeah, it was really fun to hear in the green room. You told us a little bit about Manifestation Day. So that was
Yeah.
kind of fun. Right
Thank
on.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Alana, I see you are there. How are things in Ireland?
We have rain here today. It's very warm, but yet I'm always freezing inside this house, no matter what. I'm always cold. Anyway, Alana here, coming to you from Ireland. I run a blog called emptynesterblog.com, and I am also the founder of ALB Digital Marketing Solutions, where I help people with their websites, maintaining them, creating them, fixing them, SEO and blog posting, article writing, and that sort of thing.
All right. So nice to have you here. We're going to share something you officially this morning that you shared with us in the green room last week, because I think it's really worth knowing. So
Okay. Cool.
So Denise, there you are. What, are you freezing out your way? You need to unmute yourself, Denise.
There we go. I've got my Irish knit on this morning. And I'm postponing my walk. You can see it warms up a bit. So apologize I'm not here earlier. I just didn't even hear the little ding until it was at 10 to 9. I went, oh geez, I'm not ready. So my name is Denise Webb. My business is Invive Health, and I am an antioxidant specialist. And so what I help people with is learning about that, learning about lifestyle changes and nutrition.
Thank you, Denise. And I must tell everybody I've learned an awful lot about nutrition from Denise. So I highly recommend that.
And we're in Ireland and all these other places.
Oh, yes. USANA is in Ireland, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow. Right on. All right, I'm just making sure I've got everybody here. Oh, Fred. I almost missed you.
Yeah, well, I've been away, so you forgot about me. I've been in Australia. I just returned last week from sunny Australia. Now I'm in sunny Langford, where it's so hot and I have to wear my sunglasses. It's really bright. But I'll take my I took my sunglasses off because of it's impolite. I'm Fred Jones, and I believe that every child deserves a wonderful future. So I'm organizing and encouraging people on an online youth group sessions where they learn to communicate, learn leadership skills so they can become the leaders that our world really needs. So that's what I promote, and gives them self-confidence when they enter adulthood. And there are signs. One great sign is Greta Thunberg, who has berated the environmentalists recently. She's from Sweden, 15-year-old young lady. There's a great example of someone finding their voice and telling the adults that, hey, they should wake up because environment needs some changes. And she did that a couple times recently. Once in Poland, I think, in the United Nations session. So those are the kind of people that I'm looking forward to assisting as well, or have more of people like Greta Thunberg from Sweden.
So yes, there's been lots on the radio even recently about young people and what we're seeing from them, and First Nations young people especially. I've been hearing some wonderful things about. So Well, welcome home.
Thank you.
So this morning, we are going to talk about our website speed. So I thought that one thing that we could, one question that we could begin with is, no, I guess maybe I should back up and go with the fact that we can test our website speed. So I did a website testing this morning for my 3 websites, and saw that my oldest one has the lowest score, and the newest one has the highest score. And part of the reason that the newest one has a high score has something to do with something we're going to share later. So while we were in the green room, we did talk about the various kinds of tests that you can run. The one I ran was, it looked like it was really only for the speed that your cell phone does. So I believe that there's another one that tests both the desktop and the mobile speed, and that's called Google Page Speed Insights. So after the session, I will post a link, or if anybody else has got it there quickly, they could put it on the VCP page. So it is important to have a look. And I must say that the test that I did was kind of interesting, because I could ask for a report, and I got emailed a report of the things that I might like to do. That they classify things in 3 different ways, like the looks good, consider fixing, and should fix. So there's 3 layers there, and so I got a report, and there were some links there as to some sites that you could go and read up on it. Some of some of the links went to some stuff that looked like maybe, maybe I need a little bit more understanding of what the language meant. So, in other words, some of it sounded like Greek. So, but anyway, so that's one thing that we can do is if we have a website, we can go and test to see what the speed is for the visitor coming to our website. So that's important for us to have a look at, certainly. Now, I would like us to talk a little bit about what factors actually impact or affect our website. And I'm wondering if anybody in the green room here, do you have ideas about what kinds of things will impact the website speed? Anybody? Nobody?
Alana's got her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't see that. Alana, go ahead.
I'm raising my hand. Well, there's a number of factors, and I think age has to do with one of them, because the bigger your site is, the slower it's going to be. But I think junk code has a lot to do with it. So sometimes if you're putting up a blog post, there's a lot of code that shouldn't be there. And I think Dave and I had a conversation about this
last week,
I think. Mm-hmm. after the call we were on, and we were talking about using HTML cleaner to clean up junk before you put it on. And I actually just started using that today for my own site, because my site is slow, and I think images, junk code in your content, and the age of your site has a lot to do with that. Not to mention broken links and HTTP versus HTTPS. And I see Jay just joined us, so I yield to the expert here.
Are you there, Jay? The last time I looked, you weren't. Good morning.
My check. Hello, am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Jay, and my company is Magi Studios, and we help people get started in the world of online marketing through coach, consulting, and training. Happy to be here from sunny Langford, where it's a balmy 1.
Yes, Fred already beat you to it this morning, Jay. He's already came on with his sunglasses on. So we're talking about what factors affect our website speed. And so Alana was saying, and I was saying that my oldest site is my slowest site. And so I guess that sort of size, the amount of stuff that's on your website is probably going to slow it down.
Right.
And so she mentioned images and junk code and broken links. Earlier, Javita mentioned the number of plugins.
Mm-hmm.
But can you think of any other factors that we haven't mentioned?
I have one that Craig had found, and it's the number of revisions you have on your site for like the pages you build and whatnot. That can dramatically affect your speed too. If you edit like I do, and especially when you're not using a page builder where you can see what you're doing, I find myself doing a little bit of work, saving that, then going out and looking at it to make sure it's done right, and then going back, and instead of waiting till it's all done, because when I wait till it's all done, I have a mess. Whereas if I do a little bit at a time, it makes it so that that part's good, I can go on to the next step. So he gave a plug-in, WP Edit.
Oh, WP Edit.
That will allow you to do that. You can also change it in your config sys file, and you can also change it in your functions PHP file to do the same thing. I'm going to try and figure out how to do it with the PHP file, function PHP file later, because I don't want to have, it looks like that WP Edit is a pretty good size plugin, and there's a lot of features that I'm probably not going to use, so I don't want to bog down my site with save the speed with having lower amount of revisions, but then decrease the speed because I got a bulky plugin.
It's sometimes really hard to decide, but if you're messing with the PHP file, doesn't that mean that you're going to have to go in there and do that every time there's an update?
No, I use a child theme, which allows me to make those kind of changes, and then when the update hits the main theme, it doesn't affect the child theme. At least that's what it does in theory. Jay may have more input on that.
Well, I mean, I have a child theme on one of my sites. One of them is a child theme in Genesis, but I don't know if that's what we're talking about, the same thing. I don't know. Jay, what do you say?
So I'm not entirely sure if a functions is part of a child theme output. So you might have to double check on that. I thought functions.php was a core element of WordPress. Child themes basically cover the ability to change a theme and customize it without overwriting when updates roll out. But one thing I think it's really important to understand, like aside from all of this, little things that we realize could make our site slow. I think it's important to understand what makes the site slow, because if you understand we'll call it the root of all evil, for the lack of a better term, then you can have a better comprehension as to what you might want to disable or not use or use. And the way a WordPress site works is that all of that content, all the plugins, all the functionality that you use on your site, it's all extracted from one single file, one single database. It's actually a database file. It's called a SQL. And so when someone visits your site, they visit your About page, and your About page has a picture of you and has 4 paragraphs. So what it does is WordPress goes to the database, pulls out what it needs to put it out on that particular page. So if you're running plugins, if you're running a large image, it's not so much the actual image. I mean, yes, image size does matter, but it's also the process of grabbing something and saying, oh, okay, so here I need to get this and this and this and this. Okay, I need to put it onto that particular page, and now I need to render it so that people can see it using a browser. Now, the secondary element of that is how fast that can be done, and that is determined by the speed of the server that goes out and grabs that information from the SQL, from the database. So there's 2 major elements that make a site fast or slow. One is the actual database itself and the volume of a database. And 2, it's the speed of the server, how fast WordPress can go and grab that information. So, like for example, one thing that I actually recently learned was Yoast, the SEO plugin. It's a massive plugin. It's a massive plugin. It has a lot of redundant files and not needed files. For example, it has a whole bunch of different language files associated to that particular plugin. If you actually go in, if you want to learn more about it, if you actually extract the zip file of a Yoast's SEO plugin, and you go and look at all the folders, you'll see it's got Dutch, Finnish, French, German, all these different languages in language folders that typically you don't need, right? So, and when it's using all of that, the database goes, all right, do I need this language file? No. Do I need to, and so on and so forth. So when you have lots of plugins and you go and something grabs from that server and that database, then that's going to bog your site down, right? So if you can understand that, and then say, now that you have that kind of comprehension, think about 10 people visiting that About page. So in essence, that process needs to happen 10 times.
So the more people that are visiting your site simultaneously slows it down?
Well, potentially, yeah. Assuming that, if you have a large database file and a slow server, yes. And lots of plugins and a theme that has heavy coding and whatnot, right? It's more information that it needs to pull off of that big giant. Then what happens is your database file gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And that database file is all just code and basically words and numbers. So when you have a file, so think about that, right? Where it's just code. It's just, and code is typically not a very large file size. So if you think about that, yesterday I was doing an update for a client, and I was moving servers, and I downloaded their SQL file, and their SQL file was 6 megs. 6 megs. So think about 6 megs of just words.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, exactly. So that represents that it's a big database file. So that means they have lots of pages and posts, right? So that's the reason why. But So, that's a huge file where it just has to go read all that information. So that's why you want to have a really good, good server, good hosting. And you want to be selective with the plugins that you use, and also the themes that you use, really, in all honesty, right? Theme builders, like page builders, like Thrive themes and whatnot, that it adds another layer to the cake, because now what WordPress has to do, it has to render all the little shortcode things that you're trying to do with your page builder, decipher that, render that into an HTML output so that people can see it, right? I see people's eyes glazing over as I'm starting to get into.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, I'm just wondering if everybody knows what a shortcode is, for example.
Yeah.
My eyes aren't glazing over. It's just one of those.
No, mine aren't either.
Which
but
devil do you want to deal with? The page builder, and I spend a quarter of the time building, or do I, do it the hard way and spend a lot of time doing it? It's like learning Gutenberg.
Yeah. So what I was going to say with what you were saying is that so you can compensate for that thing by reducing the volume of plugins, or ensuring that your hosting servers is fast. So it's a give and take kind of scenario.
Correct.
Wow.
So can I jump in with a question here? Jay, so is it possible, and I don't know if I'm trying to finish this thought in my head, is it possible to, when you're deciding on a theme for your site, is it possible to find out how large that theme is before you install it, and then try to calculate how, in your own head, how big that site's going to get to kind of avoid that? Is that possible?
Yeah, great question. In many cases, themes will have a demo. So what you can do, you can take that demo and the URL of the demo, and you can put it in Google's website speed test, and take a look. It kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the file size and the speed of that, right? Now, but here's the thing: is let's say they've got a blazing fast server, or let's say they have a horrible server. That's going to obviously affect the score. So when you look at the score and what's slowing the site down, the things that you want to be looking at are theme-specific stuff, like CSS files and image loading and stuff like that. So using that's usually what I do whenever I'm looking at a new theme.
So last week, I think it's time for us to sort of talk about that all that junk that can bloat up the database. Is that it depends on the way that we decide to upload. Where do we write our blogs, and how do we upload that material to the WordPress website? And so last week, Alana shared this HTML cleaner, html-cleaner.com, where you can take all the, let's say if you have written your blog in Google Docs, and then you copy that and paste it over into your website, there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that your website doesn't really need. So by pasting that into this cleaner, that site, and it's an online site, it will clean all that stuff out and leave you with something really clean that you can then post. So when I mentioned earlier that my most recent website, even though it's small, I got the best score on that because I went in and used that HTML cleaner on every one of the posts, everything that was in there. Because there wasn't very much there yet, so it didn't take me all that long to do it, and so that website is the one that I got the best score on. So I'm surmising part of it is that it's not a very big website, but I've also done some some really good house cleaning on it as well. So that might, for anybody who does their own website, that's kind of an important thing to do, I think. So if it depends on the way that you write your material and how you paste it into your website or your blog site. So that was one thing that I noticed and it was now when I look at my oldest and largest website, I mean it will take me hours and hours to go in and clean that up using this particular tool. So, but as go ahead.
I just want to mention something about that cleaner you should be aware of, because you can only do 300 words at a time.
Yes.
What I have found is when I copy paste them across, when you have to go through and read your post before you hit the publish button, because it adds a sentence or two like about Rubik's Cube or something like that with a link. So you have to make sure and check your content before you hit the publish button, because the free version throws in their own stuff.
Yes, I discovered that. And I think I remember sending David a heads up about it.
Even the pro version, I went ahead and purchased a pro version because I didn't want to be dealing with 300 words at a time.
Yeah.
And it's reasonably priced, and I figured I'd try it for a month or two, and if I like it, otherwise I'll go back to my old way. But it even adds it. I noticed that it added it at the bottom of the line. There's one or two sentences that came in that weren't part of my blog. But that I was watching for it.
Yes. So I don't know. I mean, in terms of an old site that has, like my site has 200 blog posts on it, that's going to take me a long time to fix. So I don't know if there's going to be a faster way to do it or not. But
can I just say something quickly about that?
Sure.
So if you have old blog posts that no one visits, then those are not issues. So because if no one visits that page, it doesn't need to be rendered.
Right.
It doesn't need to be accessed. So what I would do is I would go into your Google Analytics and take a look at your top 25 pages that have been, and set the date to say, 6 months. And then take a look at your top 25 pages and then focus on those in that particular
That's a good
order.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But so just to clear, I have a question about this HTML cleaner. So what is the purpose? Is it because you are writing in, say, Google Docs and then copying it there and then pasting it into...
Yes.
Oh, there's an easier way to do that. Let me set something up here and I can show you, okay?
Okay.
So I'll need like 5 minutes here. So
okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Amongst ourselves.
Talk amongst ourselves. Well, the other thing that I discovered as I was doing this house cleaning, I realized that I had used the site content in WA to write one of them. And when I went in and looked at that one, there was no junk of any kind in there. It was totally clean. So I didn't have to do anything on that one. So a lot of it depends on, yeah.
That's interesting because, I moved away from using the site content on WA because I liked the idea of the Google Docs and the collaboration part. But interesting. I might have to go back and revisit that.
Yeah. I noticed.
The thing I don't like about the site content is I don't believe it has the text tab. So like if you want to add a little bit of code or anything in there, it won't let you. You have to upload it and then add it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Now, just for the benefit of those, because Denise, I think you're probably going, what are you guys talking about? WA is a site that a number of us belong to. It's called Wealthy Affiliate. And it's a site where you, when you're a member, you have access to a gazillion training videos to show you how to build your own website.
Okay.
So
I listen. I just am appreciating what all you guys know.
It also allows you to do hosting. It also allows you to do like it has an area where you can type in your blog and then it'll upload it automatically into your page.
Yeah.
There's a chat where if you run into problems, you can talk to people or just talk
Yeah.
to people in general. And it's a very positive forum. You're not allowed to, you may ask a question that someone has asked an hour earlier, and you won't get on some forums they'll just say, well, that was answered an hour ago. Well, why weren't you listening? They just go ahead and answer the question again and again and again. And um, they have all sorts of different things, and it's a really interesting area. If you're building websites, I enjoy it. I really like it. It's easier than doing them like where you host it yourself and you're on your own.
Exactly.
Big community, huge
Yeah.
community. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Go for it, Jay.
All right. Let's see. Share. Sharing is caring. Okay, so what you're looking at is a Google Doc, right, where an article's been written. So, and this is actually this is actually how I do blog posts. So I have this, and then I Control A or Command A. So I take it all, and I copy it, right, and then I go in. Actually, first what I do is I copy the title. Pop the title in there. Go back. Control A, Control C. I paste it. Now, if we look at the code or the text, you'll see it's got span style and all that kind of weird stuff that we don't want.
Right.
So what I do is I just go Command A or Control A, and I press this little eraser button that says Clear Formatting. Yeah. Now, some of you might not see that because maybe you have your editor bar like that. But if you click on that little icon right there, toolbar toggle, it takes your toolbar to the next level. And then you press Clear Formatting. And now it keeps all the H tags and whatnot, but it does clear all of that stuff inside the code, as you can see, all gone. And then from there, I can then, start additionally formatting, what else I want on there. And then what I also start to do is I then take the images, save them to Google Keep. So right click, save to keep, and then save image as.
Right. You have to.
And then I go ahead and save that. Yeah. And then just manually upload those images.
Well, you just saved us a lot of. You just saved me a whole lot of stuff.
I think that's awesome, and I'm mortified that we didn't know about that earlier. Of all the stuff we've talked about, how is it we missed that? I don't get it. That little tiny button. I'm really annoyed, actually.
Now you can have that button on your toolbar today for the low cost.
Get out your credit card.
$99.99 a month.
So are you going to see that in every theme, Jay? Because I've noticed that there's a difference between what you see in that toolbar according to the theme.
As long as you're using the classic editor.
Yes?
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so there's something that we can all do. So, so now that was all about cleaning the unnecessary junk in your data files, database, etc. So now let's talk about images for a few minutes, because we all know that images really have a big impact as well. So, the size of images, the file size of images, and what else?
Naming convention of your images
Yeah.
could play a very small part, it's just more characters to render. So, dashes versus underscores for image naming convention. I prefer to use dashes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also, if the image itself is a JPEG or a PNG, there's a huge difference there. So if you have an image that has a photo in it and you save it as a PNG, that image file will be substantially larger in file size than a JPEG would.
Right.
So the rule of thumb is if it's a graphic that has no picture in it, it's all just graphics, save that as a PNG. If the image has actual pictures of humans or scenes or whatever, that it's been taken from a camera, then you save that as a JPEG.
Now, what about this plugin that's called Image Optimizer?
So there are a number of plugins that can optimize your images on the fly. So the reason why a lot of people use these plugins is they tend to download their images from their stock photo company, and then they just upload them to WordPress, which are these massive 5 meg image files, and then that's when the plugin kind of kicks in and compresses that. So, which is fine, right? Which is totally fine. What I like to do is I like to personally take those images and clean them up, and then say, like I use Photoshop just to clean those images up, and then that actually reduces the file size, thus not needing to use a plugin to reduce the file size of the images. But that's in essence what many of those image compression plugins do.
Okay, so they compress them. Right?
Yeah, but one now I have no knowledge of this, but one might think that an image compression plugin, like what's worth more? Like, I mean, the actual image that might be a larger file size, or the plugin that's being
which is going to
used?
take up the most resource.
Yeah.
Woo.
So because I don't use those plugins, but so I don't have any data on that.
Well,
a question about that specific plugin you were talking about, image compression. Does it render the image in real time or is it? I thought it was going to compress the image and save the compressed image and use the compressed image in the post rather than the original one.
Yeah, like a secondary file, right?
Yeah. If that's the case, then having the plugin shouldn't impact the page speed.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's your homework, Vivek.
Hey, Jay, can I go back to the database?
Sure.
Now in regular databases like Access and whatnot, you do indexing so you can find stuff faster. Is there ways of indexing the database?
In most cases, it is already indexed. So, for example, it has one area just for the posts, one area just for the pages, one area for the settings. So it is a relational database where it will kind of find so, but it still need, like, the biggest part of, like, if you went in and used PHP MyAdmin and looked at each particular database area, the one that would be the largest would be the one that has the pages or the posts, because it has the most amount of data. But yes, it is cataloged that way.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, Jay?
Please do.
You were saying you reduce the size of the image files. What size do you normally do? For example, if I use my camera, I can have 3 megabyte files, and that's way too big for anything, normally anyway, from the internet. What size would you normally reduce it to? How many kilobytes, or
Right,
less than a megabyte?
Yeah, great question. So it does depend on the complexity of the image, right, in terms of how many colors there are and how big I want it. But the aim is to have it under 500 kilobytes, so under half a meg. That's the goal. So the smaller the actual dimensions, then that's going to reduce it much smaller.
So when you go to one of those online sites for changing the size of an image or whatever, I think you can change how many pixels, but I think some of them actually allow you to change the size of the file as well. Am I correct? I think so.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Since I wouldn't have the faintest idea how to change the size of an image in Photoshop. That would never happen for
One thing I try to do is to make sure that I'm using the size that I'm going to use on the website. If it's going to be a small image, I make it a small image. If it's going to be a large image, then I make it that large. I don't try to shrink or reduce them down on the website.
Right.
I find, if I may say, to change the size of an image relatively easy, and just using Paint, which is in Windows anyway. I just go to imported Paint, and then there's a little option there. You can just change it to percentage and say, oh, I want it to be, let's say, 40% or 30% of the original file. And then you can see the size. It'll reduce it to, so many kilobytes rather than megabytes, just by changing percentage. Very simple.
In Paint? You're kidding.
In Paint.
Well, thank you for that.
Import your file into Paint, and then you can change the percentage. And it offers another way, but I just use the percentage.
Right.
And then I get it. I can look at it and see what size it is, and then say that's the size I want, and then save it. Very simple.
Oh, isn't it amazing the things the simple things we find out from each other. I love it. So that's good. Thank you, Fred. So I have another question, which may sound like it's a little bit. I know that it's probably not appropriate for this particular discussion to go into detail. But Jay, is there a way to reduce all that extra stuff that's in the Yoast plugin?
Yeah, don't use Yoast.
Oh God.
As far as I know, I don't see of any way.
You don't know of any way?
No. I mean, you could delete those language folders, but the problem with that is they might be reliant on the functionality of the plugin.
Oh. Okay. So would you say all-in-one SEO is just as bad?
No, it's not. It's super light compared to Yoast.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you look at Yoast's functionality in terms of the plugin itself, it pulls up a lot of stuff, right? So when you're editing, it's got your, is this cornerstone article? Is this and that? Gives you a score. So there's like all this stuff that's added on to, and that's why they have that language file, those language files, right? So that it can automatically change all the words that it's using within your post. Whereas all-in-one SEO, it says, all right, well, what do you want your meta title and meta description to be?
Right. Right.
And you can turn things on and off. So.
but it doesn't have that. There's a couple of other features that All-in-One doesn't have, and the free version of Yoast doesn't have. So,
Yeah.
6-in-1. I mean, it just depends on what's important to you.
Yeah, like I mean, at the time when I was like with Affiliate Resources, when I was moving servers and changing things around, I used Yoast because I wanted to ensure that I wasn't receiving any errors. Because I know what it was. When I changed my site from Joomla, which is a different type of CMS, to WordPress, if I didn't use the Yoast Premium, which is automatically detects the 404 errors, which are dead pages that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
If I didn't use that, then that would have adversely affected my SEO and my rankings. So by using Yoast, I was able to determine what those were and then automatically redirect those through what's called a 301 redirect to the new pages.
Yeah. That was the reason I went to Yoast Premium, for that very reason.
Yeah.
But now that I got it, if I'm going to get it all cleaned up, maybe I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? But you get used to your plugins that you're, what you don't want to do is just because, Jay says it's a large file size doesn't mean that people need to, run to the hills and get rid of it. If it works for you, by all means keep it, right?
Right.
So that was just a very interesting observation that I found.
No kidding.
Not too long ago.
No kidding. Whoa.
Yeah.
So I guess what we're all saying is, I mean, these are all things that we pay attention to as creators of our own websites. But if you're the sort of solopreneur that has no interest whatsoever in doing this kind of thing, you normally pay somebody else to do this work and to know how to do it and what needs to be done. So, and it's a question of the things that we love to do and the things that we're good at or not good at or have an interest or a passion for. These are all things that solopreneurs need to sort out when they're working. So I'm guessing Denise, for example, I'm guessing that you pay somebody else to do your website. Am I correct?
Well, because I'm partnered with a bigger company, they provide the website, and I have a satellite website off of that. I did for a while pay someone else to host a completely different website, but I closed that one down. In the meantime, I've done 2 tests.
Oh, have you?
just on the iPhone, just to see what it scanned, and my personal website scanned at I think there were 3 fails, 1 C. They give you A, B, C, D, E, and the rest were okay, A's. And now I'm comparing the company website to mine too to see what theirs is like.
Right.
But it's amazing. I didn't even know you could do this. And to see where the fails are, I'm assuming I'm getting an email with what you should do to rectify it. It's given me 3 instructions, but I don't understand what the instructions are.
Yeah. That's what I said earlier. It's like reading Greek.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good to see a comparative to your own site and other sites.
Absolutely.
So I'm back at like step 0.
Well, but I mean, if you're paying for, somebody else to manage your website, etc., then and if you were to do a site speed and it had some issues, then send that off to the person who looks after that and ask them to fix it. So
it's a fairly big IT group. So
yeah.
It's not just me. Like there's anyway.
So I'm looking at our time. We're finishing on time for a change. But before we close, I'm wondering if anybody has any further things to say about website speed, any further questions or whatever.
Yeah, if I can just
Mhm.
go ahead, Alana.
Sorry, mine's real quick. Getting back to the cleaning code off your text and all that, I think it's going to depend on your theme, because I just checked mine, and because I have the Divi theme and I also have Gutenberg as well. Don't ask, I must be insane. But anyway, I don't have that little clean button, and I'm very annoyed. And I say this for David's benefit as well, because I know David and I are both using the Divi theme. So don't rip your hair out, Dave. You won't find that button.
Well, that was why I
kinda
asked the
figured-
question.
I kind of figured as much, and I also use Genesis, so and I also use a number of different themes. So
Yeah.
I think I got a theme for every website at the moment. That'll change eventually. I'll choose one sometime along the line.
I think there might be a workaround for that, the Divi issue you're having. I think if you were to change the default settings to your classic, because I know like when you load, I haven't used it in a long time, but I know if you create a new post, you have at the time by default it loaded the classic editor.
Yeah.
And then you can choose to use the Divi builder.
Right.
If you can set it up in your settings that way.
Yeah, I think you set it up by post. I was actually just on my site, but I'll see if I can do that.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know if you
just a
can
thought.
do it as a general setting, or you have to do it by individual post. But yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
idea. I'll check that out.
Okay. All right. So
But I think in many cases where a builder is used, if you do that, all you see when you go into that classic editor is some shortcodes and all that, none of which you can really understand at all. Even though you perfectly could understand HTML itself, you will not understand this.
oh.
That's the drawback of using any builder.
Wow. Okay. All right. So this was a lot more technical than maybe some of our people are ready to consider. But it seemed like paying attention to your site speed is an important thing. So that was why I chose this topic. And so perhaps the next time we'll go for something a little less technical. So I want to thank everyone for their contributions this morning. And remind everyone that it's important to do what you love with passion. And we'll see you again next week. So I need to do a couple of things here. So